Eileen, you got 27 degrees and sunny. Okay. Okay. We would have killed for 27 degrees last week here in Texas. I think we're at a balmy tropical 40. What is it, Donna?
Mhm.
It's about, I haven't been up, out there this morning, but it's
I'm
warm
not
enough.
sure, but it's supposed to get up to 66, I think, today. So,
What the heck? And a week ago we were what, like trying to break 16 degrees or something like that.
yeah.
Craziness. That's Texas weather for you. Hey, everybody. So I feel like it's been a minute since we got together. We've had a lot of, last week it was so cold, I was worried the power would go out. And with my luck, it would have been during the session. So I said, let's play it safe and just wait another week. I have with me Dr. Teresa Thompson Pigney. And also we have Leah and Donna in the background there. Always present, though, couldn't do it without them. So you should be seeing our website on your screen, correct? And I am also going to go to the shop just to remind you about the resources we have there. We have a bunch of resources on our YouTube channel and also some free webinars. And I believe we also have a couple of free, our first sessions for both EOC and Talent Search, right, Donna, are available. The mindset one, getting you ready. There are free trial courses, so if you want to try those out. We do also have professional development courses that are allowable cost. Grant writing, information, discussion are not allowable during federal time. So that's why we're doing it during what we hope is your lunch hour. Or if you're recording this, you can watch it later or whenever you're off the clock, so to speak. So I just wanted to open up with letting you know how we're taking things here at NEC on the timing. Teresa, I feel like Talent Search will be first. I know it's been rare that EOC has been popping up before, but traditionally Talent Search comes first. Government shutdown partial going on. I think I have a feeling, I have nothing else to prove for it, but I think it'll be resolved pretty soon. And when that happens, I believe the RFP or the program application, and I'm saying hopefully, even though I'm not hopeful, I'm kind of conflicted because it's like I want the extra time, but at the same time I don't because I know what a mad rush it's going to be. And every day that we wait to submit is another day that we're going to have to wait to get approval and see if we have money by the end of August, right? So I'm hoping that once this gets resolved, that pretty quickly, maybe within, I don't know, a week or so, the RFP or the program application for Talent Search at least will come out, and then maybe they'll give us 3 weeks to do it. Maybe. Teresa, what's your sense? And this is all speculation, nothing concrete, but I know I'm going to get asked, so I'm just going to tell you exactly what I'm sensing, not sugarcoating it at all. What
Yeah,
is your
my
gut?
my speculation is the same as yours. I really don't have one, so what you just said makes sense to me. So I definitely concur and agree with what you just said. And yeah, that's the best logic that I can think of as well. But definitely, hopefully talent search first, but also that is historically what happens is talent search is released first, and then a week or two after that's been submitted, the other one is due. So they pretty much come out. Last time they came out within like a 2 week period, the RFPs, a very short window because I didn't realize I was editing EOC too, and I thought I was finished with talent search, two talent searches, and then they were like, "Oh, we need you to edit EOC," and I was like, "What?" I
You
didn't
didn't think that
expect
came
to
out,
be.
right?
So yeah.
Yeah, right. They don't wait for one to be done before the other comes out. And could there be a possibility that they put both of them out at the same
Mhm.
time?
Yeah, yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun? And you would think they wouldn't do that to themselves. But they did some crazy stuff with the Fitzby, is that how you
Fipsy,
say it?
Fipsy.
That came out, and that experience was there was a government shutdown, and as soon as it was resolved, they put those out. And how many days did they give you for those multi-million-dollar grants, each
Three
one?
weeks. It was 3 weeks.
3 weeks. 3 weeks for 4 or 5 times the money we're asking for on an annual basis. And didn't you tell me, or someone told me that they had over 1,000 applications for how
Yeah.
many slots? I don't know how many slots were available.
Yeah, I want to say about 40 programs were funded. I
Mhm.
can't remember. I looked at the list. I can't remember how many were actually funded, but it was a short list. If it was 1,000, it was a very short list of who was actually funded.
So 1,000 people slapped that together and got something in before the deadline. I'm just letting you know just what we've heard and what Teresa's experienced firsthand. the short turnaround. So it can happen. I mean, does it make sense as to why they would do that to themselves, right? And they were telling you that they would get the announcements out pretty quickly, and they did. They got them somehow read, right? They
Mhm.
got them funded and read, and they were able to give them their announcement. So who knows? Maybe they've figured out a way to give us our announcement quicker. So maybe the delay won't be, so worrisome
Mhm.
because look how fast they were able to crank those out. On the other hand, I don't know who they got to read. I don't know if the department read it themselves, I don't know if those fall under the
Yeah.
peer review.
So one of the ones I wrote did not get funded, and so let me give a little bit of feedback about the readers' comments as well as when they were submitting. So just to be aware that when there was a glitch in the system, so those who submitted like prior to 12 o'clock the day that it was due, they went
When
through
was it?
and go
Sorry,
ahead.
okay. When was it due to give
It was due
people
at 5. I want to say 5. It wasn't due at 12. I don't think it was
what
due at
day?
12 at night.
What day? December, what?
I can't remember,
November
the third or fourth, something like that.
of December?
Yeah, it was due to December 3rd or
Just to give
4th.
people some context how recent this was. It was
Yes, yes, this is the most recent that I've been involved in. Probably a lot have been involved in because it was during the Christmas break. The Christmas break was about what 2 weeks away after the due date, and they were saying that they want to give the feedback out prior to that. The grants that most people have gotten their readers' comments as of now. So they did publish the notification of who got awarded
Mhm.
publicly before they actually provided the programs that were not funded their information. So
Okay.
so that's one thing that happened there. The other thing is the day of submission. I can't remember what time the grants were due because I was not involved in that process. But basically, the programs that submitted prior to 12, they were able to submit, normal. However, there was a shutdown of the system, and there were a lot of. So think about it, if 1,000 submitted or so, there were a lot of programs that did not submit, and they were unable to submit. So one of my clients, they eventually submitted. They sat on the phone. They were like, you have to get this number. You have to this, that, and the third, so that because if you just decide you're going to send an email and you say, I'm not able to submit, you've got to get on the phone, and there was like a long 1 or 2 hour wait for you to be able to speak to someone so that you could get your number, a specific unique number, which basically was stating that you attempted to submit and you were unable to submit, and then they opened up the window. Now I have a colleague who got the information, and they got an email stating that their grant was not reviewed and that they would be considered for future opportunities in a roundabout way. So even with that person was never able to submit, and so therefore, even though they got the number, they got all the things they needed, but there was an email that went out to all those grantees letting them know that well, not grantees, those who submitted, who were trying attempting to submit proposals, that sorry, and it came after Christmas.
Mhm.
It came,
Wow.
it came after the fact. Like it was way beyond the time that you needed to submit. But basically, they just said that, and I can find the language for our next meeting so I can be more specific about how they stated it. I'll send that to you, Lisa,
Okay.
because it'll be helpful to know what they said. But it basically means that you're not going to be considered, and good luck in the future. That's basically the gist of it. So like I said, there was some issues with submission. So you definitely want to submit as early as possible. Definitely not. I would just say stay away from the day of. At least 2 or 3 days prior, if possible. But that was something we learned from that particular competition, and I can't remember what else I was supposed to say, but
You got your your reader's
so
comment.
the reader comments that I did get for one that was not funded, the comments they appear to be non-AI. I don't know if they were or not, but they were very thorough. It could be AI, but they were very thorough. They were true, so what was the reason for that particular section was not, what, if the information was missing or it wasn't clear or what have you. So the reader comments were fair. So that I will say that is something that happened, for those of us who are questioning the integrity. Now, again, we know that AI can be very thorough and intentional too, and it can find mistakes. And if you put the right tone, then it can, give the type of feedback that was given. But the information that was given was fair. Yeah.
So I find it very, very interesting, y'all. And in case you're joining us late, Teresa was just taking us through her latest experience with the latest department, the last Department of Ed competition that occurred, which occurred during the Christmas holidays, was and I can't say it. What is the whole thing? What is the whole title of that
Oh,
grant?
I don't know.
Well, basically, it's for colleges and universities. Like a
Post-secondary education. PSE is the federal something. If it's FIPSE, FIPSE.
And it's like a Title III. It's to get the colleges money to implement programming.
Yeah, and it used to be more of a research grant. So that was also something that was very different. The way that it was framed this time, it was less of a research grant and more of a programmatic grant. While historically they're programmatic grants, but they're also an element of research. So you can actually go and look at historical FIPSI grants that were funded and the research behind those grants to implement the intervention. So that was a twist where it was quite a bit different from
Well,
that perspective.
Donna put it in the chat, fund for the improvement of post-secondary education. And that came out. The reason we're talking about that is because I wanted to kind of go through, and Teresa had mentioned to me what she experienced. What was surprising to me is how fast they put out the RFP or the program application as soon as the government shutdown lifted. And what also surprised me was that they only gave you how many weeks? 2 or 3 weeks?
Three.
3 weeks. 3 weeks, y'all. 3 weeks from beginning to end. And then that they promised that they would all get read and scored, and people would be notified. I think they told you by the end of December, like 3 weeks later after they were due, because they were due like the first week of December. And I don't think they met their deadline, but when did they come? When did they actually put the notifications out? Was
Well,
it
I
pretty?
don't know I just know that it went to the media first. Well, that's when I first heard about it. But I'll
Okay.
look and see when it was actually. I'll look and see when
But
it was actually.
traditionally in trio, it's 6, 7, 8 months. Like with SSS, it was almost a whole year since
Mhm.
it was submitted. It wasn't that. It was less than a month, right?
Yeah, it was
After,
right after Christmas. It's like the week after Christmas,
so
the
not
first
even
week
a
in
month,
January.
y'all.
It was
Not
like the
even a
first
month.
week in January. Yeah.
Not even a month that they went ahead and turned them around,
Mhm.
and they were for a lot more money than we're asking for, a lot more money. And Teresa, was it when they got the notifications out? I just lost my train of thought. But the big point here is that they were able to get it done, and you already have your readers' comments and scores. So surprise, surprise, with very little staff, they were able to get it done. I don't know how they did it. So
Mhm.
here I am thinking that Teresa, this is why, because of what she went through just in December, this is why I'm thinking if they could turn them around that fast, and how many pages? That's what I was going to ask you. How many pages was the
Ooh.
grant?
Ooh. Let me.
45, 65,
Yeah,
50,
it was
20?
like 35. It wasn't very many. Like
Okay.
35 pages.
35 pages, 35 pages. Okay. 35 pages, which sometimes is a lot harder to write. So they didn't have a lot of reading. So someone can say, well, they're half the reading and half the sections. Okay. To do. But I am surprised they got it back to you all pretty quickly. And it sounds like the integrity of the reader's comments, would pretty have to be pretty sophisticated AI. But they appeared to be authentic, and you agreed with them,
Mhm.
so they were fair.
Yeah.
That's the good news, I guess, that it was fair and that wasn't crazy reading, so to speak.
Right.
So I don't know if anyone out there was involved in that competition, or your institution was involved, or somebody was a reader. I'm dying to know about how that went down and how they were able to get it done so fast. So this is where it makes me think, well, shoot, they could do that with Talent Search and EOC and say it's out. You got 3 weeks to write it, and we'll get it back to you maybe in 2 months. Instead of waiting. So maybe, Teresa, it being pushed down the road isn't as scary because maybe they figured out a way to get it back to us faster. I
Mhm.
don't know what that way is. Maybe they hired another company to do it or contractor to do it. I have no idea. So if anyone knows of anything, let us know. We're kind of trying to figure out for ourselves. But thank you for
So,
sharing that
one more
information.
one more thing. The CPPs were embedded in the proposal. So there were no
Uh,
additional. This was interesting, which it could be the case for other Department of Ed grants, but because I mostly focus on Trio and Gear Up, and
mhm.
Title Three and Title what five. Basically, this was interesting because the competitive preference priorities had to be written within the proposal. So within that 35 pages, we also had to include the competitive preferences. So that was also an interesting.
That is interesting because I know Gear Up has gone back and forth. I remember when Gear Up first came out, or maybe it switched back and forth. Teresa, do you remember that the CPPs were part of the narrative and they weren't separate, and then they became separate, and then they went back and forth, which is kind of the confusing part. The CPPs, for coming up, you can look back on our YouTube channel where we have all our discussions here saved for over the year that we've been meeting. So we have quite a little library there in playlist. But we have already talked about what we think the CPPs may be. I don't think, Teresa, anything has changed. I keep gravitating toward the AI and the government citizenship skills thing that might be part of it, but I don't have any information, and honestly, I would not waste any time thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
Get your sections done. Um, you know, uh, ASAP. Act as though this is going to drop any day now, and act as though you have 3 weeks to get her done. And like Teresa said, you don't want to wait until the last day. There could be lots of glitches that last day. The other thing is in the open, in our grant writers competition group that we have through Wix, I've gone ahead and uploaded, but anybody out there can get this. Go to grants.gov and get familiar with it. I mean, look at the old RFP for both Talent Search and EOC, which is in the Google Drive for 2021. They go through the directions on how to become familiar. Maybe you're new to this, or maybe you are an existing director but haven't looked at it lately. You want to get familiar with that, the workspaces, that is not going to change. I mean, whatever grant you write, you're going to want to become familiar with that. So if you do it all the time, great. If not, go ahead and cut out one level of stress by making sure that everybody who's supposed to have access has been updated. There have been a lot of changes and things like this. With personnel and different people on campus, but you want to make sure that the right people, and sometimes the certification hasn't been updated, Teresa, and people have to, you know, go on there and register and all that stuff. And then someone else usually has to create the workspace, which is kind of like a Teams on their end where y'all can work together and upload documents. Get used to that. Also, there's a go to their website. Also, YouTube channel has some videos. They haven't changed their process. They have some old videos there, but they haven't changed the steps lately. So get familiar with that. Do yourself a favor so you don't run into that situation. I didn't know if there was anything else you wanted to add, Teresa, that maybe your clients had gone through when they were looking at grants.gov or the workspace or anything like that. Oh, you're muted, hun. I can't hear you.
Oh, let me just add that there was some confusion about so for example when people were calling the helpline, the help what was happening was it was saying it did not recognize their it was making it seem like it was a not grants.gov. What is the other system?
G5, the
Oh, the one where you get your UEI to do business with the government.
ID.
So there's another, I can't think, not grants.gov, but SAM's sam.gov.
Mhm.
So there was this issue where with the help desk, they were saying that it was a sam.gov issue versus a grants.gov issue. So there was like some real confusion with regards to uh, what was happening when people were calling the help desk. Um, and they were saying, well, I just submitted a grant a couple of weeks ago through grants.gov. It has not expired. So there was another comment that was made that to make sure that whatever systems you have to renew in and everything that you need to do, you want to do it about 2 months prior to when it's due, a grant is due, because it was just a lot of rumors and these were coming from the people who were actually on the help desk where the potential grantee was asking for information, and
Mhm.
it just seemed to be confusion on the other side. So just know that submitting earlier is probably best, and also if anything's going to be expiring within a month, go ahead and have your institution to do those renewals, because again there was some confusion about the renewal. It wasn't due with one of my clients. Their renewal wasn't due until a month later, and they had just submitted, and they were like, we just don't understand, normally you can still submit, like what is going on. But they were able to eventually submit, but like I said, there were others who still did not get to submit. So
Thank you for that. So y'all just, I would go back to the 2021 RFP for both EOC and Talent Search. They're both in the Google Drive. In the first couple of pages, they take you step by step mentioning these things that we just threw out to you. Just read it, check off, make sure everything's in place. You've got nothing to lose, right? Except a little peace of mind that you don't want to run into, because it will happen, right, Teresa? People will not check. It'll be a headache. Stuff will happen. Don't do that to yourself, right? Don't do that to yourself. So go ahead and check it out. Read the first 3 or 4 pages in the RFP. Make sure everything's good to go. Maria Elena, can you put your question in the Q&A? That would be great if you could do that. Then we can go ahead and answer that. And yeah, we're opening up for any questions y'all have. Do me a favor when you ask a question, if it's about the needs section, could you please refer to what question also you're specifically ask or trying to resolve? Which question in the needs section, or which table of required data, or which baseline are you trying to get? And that'll cut down on a little bit of the back and forth. Okay. So we are open up for questions. Please put them in the Q&A. You can ask anonymously as well. Sometimes we forget and do stuff in the chat, right? But we are trying to keep a record of those questions. So if you want to be anonymous, you can right now ask we set it up so you can do that, right? Any questions coming up? I can start, Maria Elena, answering yours, but if you could still put it in the Q&A. I think I know what you're talking about, but I may, Teresa, I joke, but really, I usually, in order to ask a question, especially now, in order to answer a question, I find myself asking 3 or 4 questions, right, before I can give you the right answer, right? So it's just the way it is. So in Texas, if schools participate in CEP, can I use the number of percentage on economic need based on income? Okay, again, are you trying to look at which table? The table about the number of low income families, or the number of students that are on free or reduced lunch, which is another required table? Or are you looking at graduation? I need to know which table you're talking about here. So, or what question to give you a better answer. Here's the second one. Our school district will not provide me with high school persistence rates. What? No news flash there, okay? Because yeah, they won't give it to you. They will not give it to you on a silver platter. I'm needing to calculate persistence rates using the annual dropout rate and 4-year original cohort. No, like, you cannot use that. All right, let me start off. Okay, talent search. One of your objectives is how many of your 12th graders you guys just completed your APR. And in one of those questions, they asked, hey, how many 12th graders do you have? And how many of them graduated, just 12th graders, how many of them graduated with a regular diploma? Remember that question on your APR? You have to do the same thing for each of your target schools. How many 12th graders graduated from each high school that got a regular diploma? Not from the ninth grade to the 12th grade. They didn't ask you that on your APR, right? They didn't say, hey, of all your ninth graders 4 years ago, how many of them graduated with a regular diploma? No. And I've been doing that, Teresa, forever and a day as my baseline. And for some reason, they didn't catch me until this last time, and they got me good. They said, nope, they didn't get me so much in the need section. They got me in the objective section. And they said, you didn't, I can't give you any points for this objective. And I was like, what? Well, it said, because you never gave me the 12th grade graduation rate. You gave me the cohort rate. And you're telling me that that's your baseline? It's apples to oranges. So I can't tell you if this is ambitious or attainable, because you never gave me the right baseline. All right. So it's okay to give the reader this sad cohort dropout rate from ninth to 12th grader as more alarming Like if you think this is bad, look how bad it is as to how many ninth graders stay here and graduate from the 12th grade. But you cannot use that as your baseline. So you're going to have to use annual persistence rates from one year to the next. And the way you can do that is to go to, even though your school district won't give you that, you go to the state education agency and you look at how many 12th graders were enrolled at that school, the latest available date that you can, or how many, 12th graders were enrolled at the beginning of the semester and how many of them graduated. You could also ask your target school counselors, hey, last year, how many 12th graders did y'all have? And then how many graduated with a diploma, regular diploma? A lot of them are not showing need because they graduate everybody, right? I think everybody out there loved answering that objective on their APR because they probably had a 100% rate. So you're happy about that, right? Well, now when you have to show the need, you're not happy because you're like, I can't show that they still need us in that area because they're graduating everybody. So we've had to tell our clients, you know what, you're going to have to add another layer of rigor to that. You're going to have to add, well, what about the number of 12th graders that graduated with a regular diploma, or in persistence, the number of students from one grade level to the next that went on to the next grade level, and you know they promote everybody, but with a certain GPA. That's going to take talking to the target schools, not this district, or allowing the, if you can get the numbers from the district. Well, Teresa, this data is not locked up. It's on a website. It's on a website, so you don't have to go through the district. You can get these rates yourself. Now, the question is about what percentage graduate with a certain GPA to show, the need or the rigor. I'm sorry, the rigor. That could be something you'll have to talk to someone directly at the target school to get that information. But I want to stress that you cannot use the cohort graduation rate as your baseline or your answer for the 12th graders that graduate with a regular diploma, and you can't use it for the 12th graders that graduate with a regular diploma having completed a rigorous secondary school program of study. You must use 12th grade beginning fall to 12th grade graduation in the spring, period, for those two objectives, just like you do for your APR, for your own students. Expand that to be the whole target school. Teresa, I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, so let's see. For free and reduced lunch, again, that's the table. That's usually the second table we talk about how many students are at the target schools that are eligible, not necessarily receiving, but eligible for free and reduced lunch. The only time that also comes up is there's a question in the needs section for talent search that talks about the low, and it's an or the low participation rate of low income students in a rigorous secondary school program of study. So that's sometimes where we go ahead and find out, hey, that rigorous secondary school program of study definition. Number one, you want to look at that. There's 6 of them. I uploaded a document. It's in the regulations, but I copy and pasted it in the Google Drive. It's on its own under the data collection folder. I want you to remember that you can't just make up your own definition. You have to latch on to one of the 6 that are in the regulations. And it's usually the second definition that says the advanced or honors program developed by the state. That if you research that, you may want to tie into that and give you a little flexibility, meaning that sometimes it mentions dual enrollment specifically stated there. But dual enrollment on its own is not a definition of rigorous secondary school program of study unless it's listed in the honors or advanced program definition number 2. So revisit that. I know a lot of people, I know my talent search people, Teresa, they probably utilized some other definition they came up with or didn't realize that it's in the proposal and you're supposed to use the one that was in the proposal. Maybe you don't like that anymore. Well, you're not supposed to like it because it's supposed to be rigorous. And for talent search, since we have no money, it should be an objective that if you ever meet that objective, it great. If you don't, that's normal to not meet that objective. And on the back end, it's only worth 1.5 points of prior experience. What I'm saying is when you're looking at that rigorous secondary school program of study definition, don't back away from it. Something that seems hard to do. You want it to be hard to do because you want to be able to show there's a need. so that you can get funded. And give it the old college try once you get refunded to try to meet that objective, but don't be upset if you don't. I think, Teresa, what some people, rightfully so, because I've had discussions with clients, they're like, "Oh, yeah, I know if we use that definition, one of the other six definitions, I can pull the data, but Lisa, it's so hard to do that. It's so hard. We'll never meet that in the future." And I have to say, look, I've been there, but right now I'm telling you, don't worry about that. What we have to worry about now is getting you refunded. And
Right.
if you use your other definition, look,
Mhm.
there's no need. So you're going to lose more points in your proposal from the reader than you'll probably ever lose, than you'll lose later on. So my question is, you want to die now or later? I always want to die later and at least have a shot. But I don't want to go ahead and pick a definition that I know I for sure I can meet to sacrifice points in the needs section,
Right.
you know. So that's where I'm coming from there. And we are recording this in case you guys want to listen to this later, but that question about free and reduced usually comes up in two places. The second question, just telling the reader about how many people, students are eligible for it at your schools, and then later on when you talk about the rigorous secondary school program of study with the low participation rate. How many letters of commitment do you recommend? Well, it doesn't matter how many. It's not about the number, but in the proposal, if you're a college, then you want to make sure, of course, you've got a letter, at least one letter from your president saying that everything that this person is putting on these tables in that first part of the section as to what the institution will provide the project, I agree. Check that off. Do you have to run around and get different letters from other people on the campus? No, and this is both for EOC and Talent Search. Your president's letter will do. Then you have to get a letter of commitment either from each school district or each target school, depending on how it's set up. Okay. And then if you're a college, you need to get some letters of commitment from community agencies. Okay. Not other colleges, but other community agencies. So I would say, and I tell my clients, look, it would be great in the proposal, in the narrative, if you'd have at least three quality, you know, with three or four bullets of what they're going to offer you community agencies. I don't, I question when someone gives me a whole table of 10 or 12 community agencies. I'd rather have three or four at the most with a lot of things that they're going to give you or offer you in kind or tangible to the college. If you're an agency for both EOC or Talent Search, well, actually more for Talent Search, but an agency, with the Boys and Girls Club, we had to have a letter from our president or our board of directors. The same thing for the target schools, the district or each target school. And then we had to get letters of commitment from colleges, two or, at least three or four colleges, but not other agencies. See the difference there? Okay. Question, I'm gathering all my letters of commitment from my target school districts. Is that what I need, or do I wait to get MOUs after notification of getting the grant? No, no, no. You want to get them ahead of time or immediately after you submit, but you do not want to wait till notification. And that's what can get you in trouble. So the understanding is, remember, these letters of commitment, unlike GEARUP, right? GEARUP has a form that has to be turned in with the proposal. These letters of commitment are not to be turned in with the proposal. They're not as attachments. They tell you not to. You're supposed to have them in your office, though. In a perfect world, you have all your letters of commitment sitting there in the institution or agency's office before you submit the grant. So it's good to go. But you do not get them after. I mean, you could draft more detailed MOUs after you get funded. But you never know, Teresa. They could say, okay, you've been funded, but we need to see the letters of commitment within 24 hours. Yikes. So, that's what I would do because I know my people, they're not getting those letters. And if it's competitive like it was, Teresa, I wrote those two gear ups, didn't get in either one of them, though we have perfect score, right? Because it's so cutthroat. They went by a tiebreaker. Who's to say they could say, well, we need letters of commitment. Oh, you don't have them? You go down the bottom of the list. You never know. So I think we answered that one already, Maria Elena. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I answered that live. And then another question here. Oh, let me see. Let me go up to the top. Okay, and we talked about how many letters, letters of commitment. You want to get them. You want to get your letters of commitment before you submit but they don't go in with the grant. EOC clarifications, the based on the actual data for the target area for each objective. Yes. Yes, it is. So look at all your objectives in EOC. You have four of them. The baseline is what is actually happening for the adults in the target area in those areas. Should we include the four-year university's data, even though most of the students attend either of the three two-year colleges? Well, for the first objective on how many adults do not have how many adults that are dropouts get into receive a GED, your college wouldn't have that unless they had a GED program that they had records on. And then the percentage of adults who apply for admissions or apply for financial aid. I don't know if the only data your university would have would be on the students that apply to their college. I mean, you could use it as a sample, but it's really about the whole target area, and not all the adults in the target area would be applying to your university. So you see, in EOC, we don't use a lot of the university data. It's not an SSS or McNair. All right. So perhaps when you're looking at the baseline as to how many adults enroll in college, you might, if you said any kind of college, it might be a little higher than if you said no, a four-year college. So you could change your definition there, but the idea is that we get credit, right? If you're an EOC, you get credit for your adults going to any type of college. So it should be the baseline of the percentage of adults in the target area that go to any college, and the percentage of adults in the target area that apply for admissions, the percentage of adults in the target area that apply for financial aid. They have nothing to do with the university, correct, Teresa? It's not a university data.
I was responding to a comment. Sorry.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I have one target county above the baseline in every area. So I guess when you say above the baseline, you're telling me that that target county is not showing need when you compare it to state or national rates. However, the school district itself and the city where it's located is at slightly below baseline. It's hard to show their need in my charts because they don't look bad. Should I try to justify it in the narrative? Nope, it won't work. Or do I need to look at dropping them from my target schools? Possibly, but again, you're not serving the whole county. It sounds like you're serving the school district that's part of the county, and the city, or not even the whole city. It may be part of the city. So you should look at what we consider not zip codes, but they're tracks, which a lot of people, say it was a zip code. So before you bless them and let them go, you might want to actually be more accurate, because you're not serving the whole county. You're not. You're serving within that a school district, and then the city, and then possibly in the city, you're not serving the whole city. So you need to slice and dice it a little bit more so that you get the true area that you're serving. And that, as you know, you have a gut feeling that they show need, but they're not showing need right now if you just go by the whole county. Teresa, we could never show need for Dallas County or Tarrant County, because we got Fort Worth and Dallas as a city. Heck, we couldn't even say the city of Dallas showed need. No, or the city of Fort Worth. We have to slice that city into neighborhoods, into pockets of where the need is, and that becomes our tracks. So we may have 5 or 6 or 8 tracks within the city. That's our target area, not the whole city. See what I mean? And you're taking care, you're answering some of these questions. Cool. Thank you, Teresa. Objective B, secondary school graduation, regular diploma. It says 86% of the seniors served during the project year will graduate during the project year with a regular diploma within the standard number of years. If Talent Search grad eligibility is 85%. Oh, so for the baseline, right now, if you're saying the baseline is 85%, would 92 be ambitious enough? No. I would say you need to go at least 10 percentage points to 95%. That's what I would say. And also, is there any way you can go back, Diane, and find out of those seniors that graduated, can you find out how many of them graduated with a 3.0 or higher? That should bring that 85 down baseline lower. And we could justify it by saying that Talent Search is looking to work with students who have potential for post-secondary. And you could define that your potential is somebody who's got a 3.0 or higher. That could kind of explain why it was high to begin with, but also tie into the program goal. Okay. Because right now, yeah, they're graduating everybody, and I would not say that's ambitious enough. That's how competitive it will be. I'll say, nope, if you're starting at 85, already I'm not feeling the need because you're already, I'm thinking 85 out of 100. Even though you compared it to 92, I'm sorry, that 85%, I should start back again, Teresa, because I don't have any comparison. You need to give me, if your eligible grad is 85%, well, what is it for this district or the state or the nation? That's first of all, my bad. That's my first step. I need you to you to tell me how bad it is compared to something else, because otherwise I will base my judgment strictly on my, 100%, or I can say, hey, you didn't give me any comparison area. So I can't tell you if 92 is ambitious enough. I don't think so if I just go by from the 85. So already we have a couple of issues there, which I'm pretty sure you have the comparison data. You just didn't put it in the question. But you need to see if you can bring that a little bit down as much as you can by adding in that other layer of the 3.0. And I know Teresa's answering about persistence. I went back and forth about the middle school, but yes, you include the middle school because you have an objective. Your first objective is about all your ninth through 11th graders that go on to the next grade level. So
So
you do need,
Lisa, I've not answered it wrong because I said earlier I had said no for middle school.
you include them in the persistence rate, but they're not included in the graduation tables.
Oh, okay. I've never included them.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to
Oh, okay.
include,
I've never included the middle schools in my persistence.
yeah, because remember, you've got an objective. The only objective y'all in Talent Search get credit for working with anybody who's not a 12th grader is that first one.
Hmm.
What percentage of your non-seniors? So some of us are just ninth through 11th, and some of us are 6th through 11th. So in order to set that objective, you've got to show the reader this is what it is for the target schools as the percentage of these students that go on to the next grade level. And so I have to put all the grade levels there for persistence. I just wanted to double check that. I
Oh, my
hadn't even read.
mistake. I'm glad you said that because I've never included on my grant, I've never included middle school. So thanks for that.
You include in persistence. Now, when you talk about all the graduation objectives, yes, I pretend I don't even have any middle school students. Okay. Let's see here. So answer that live. And Lisa, is the National Center for Educational Statistics a good data source? Yes, it is for your national data, for your national, and you might be able to get some state data from that as well. Okay, so yes, the National Center for Education Statistics is a good data source for your comparison data. There should be a way to funnel down into the target schools, but I don't know how they do it. I usually have to use this, for most of your tables, if not all of your tables, you will have to cite a data source number one, which is usually for your target schools. And that's usually your either from your target school counselors or your district website, whatever. That would be your initial source. But then when you go to compare it to state or national rates, you normally have to switch over to another entity like the National Center for Educational Statistics. So don't forget when you look at all your tables and realize that I had to pull data from three or four different, two or one or two, definitely at least two different entities that they should be labeled as such underneath each table. Okay. Let's see here. We are trying, it's not on the website, must get data from school staff. Yes, a lot of this stuff you have to get from the school staff. And again, we're going to say you do include your middle school students in the persistence chart. Yes, someone just clarified that. Yes.
Hmm.
Let me see. Let's say someone says, should I tell one of my counties now or afterwards that I'm not including them in this proposal? Their data in some areas does not show a need. What you might want to do is, like I said, Sharon, you want to triple check. No, nowhere does it say you have to serve the county. You can serve cities or sub areas or tracts within the county. So do your best on an Excel file to pull the numbers for the more distressed areas within the county. And if you still don't have enough data to support that, then you probably should let them know that they're not going to be included. But triple check it because it's more work to latch on to another county, or I don't know, maybe you don't need them. Maybe the county, a lot of us, Teresa, in Talent Search and EOC, we have way too much target areas and way too many schools. And there is a fine line as to how many schools you can bless and let go. So I don't want to tell you just get rid of everybody who doesn't show need. And on top of that, you need locations, you need to have enough of an area so that you can find enough people to serve that are eligible. But I would triple check that. And we do have letters, if anyone out there needs a letter where they're breaking up with somebody, a target area, not break somebody, but a target area or a school, let us know. And we do have a templates. We have helped a couple of our clients to let them know, this is probably not going to work. But before you do that, I will triple check. Or you know what? I mean, it may I would wait to do that. I would wait to do that until, unless, depending on your situation or your relationship with them, if you're real tight, you need to let them know that this is a struggle and maybe ask them to help in the collection of the data. Say, help me help you. Remember that line from that movie? Help me help you. I'm trying to make it work. Tell me where the areas in the county are showing the most need, and we'll put them on the proposal and focus our identification recruitment selection within those areas. Focus there, but it doesn't mean that you have to exclude everyone else. All right. Yeah, you want to include, because remember, you have to include the middle school students because you have an objective on persistence. Now, again, I'm saying if you are serving middle schools, yes, but if you're not serving any middle schools, anybody out there just serving high schools, then they're not your target school, so they wouldn't come up. And I think, Teresa, that's the confusion, right? Some
No,
people don't have target
I've never
schools.
done it on any for middle school at all.
So you just
So
want to make sure, because
yeah, so that's definitely good to know. Yeah.
knowing what I know now, I would say, hey, you didn't give me the persistence for the middle school kids. So
Mhm.
I can't tell if this objective that you're setting is appropriate or not because you excluded them. But if you're just high school only, so make sure you let the reader know in the objective section too. I would remind them, please note this grant will focus on only high school students in ninth through 11th grade. Be Captain Obvious. Make sure you let them know so they can't come back and say, oh, you didn't mention middle school. Well, that's because I don't serve them. Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to make that clear.
Mhm.
You see where I can go with, if they better not let me train these readers, because I'll tell them exactly what to look for to make their lives easier in a sense so that they don't have to struggle somewhere to take away points. So let's see. Someone said, okay, thanks for the clarification. I added them as low student persistence and early indicators of need for middle schools. So would I use attendance and mobility rates again since I cannot access? No, you have to find persistence rates. Keep it simple. You don't want to muddy the waters. Answer the question. What is the persistence rate? What is the baseline? Now you could state those as reasons why it's so high, or it's so low, that kind of thing. But you have to answer the question directly. You cannot dance around it. Okay. Let's see. That's helpful if you do the slicing and dicing for one target school, or do you have to do it? No, no, you don't have to do it for all of them. Someone said, do you have to, like, if you take one county and you have to slice and dice it, do you have to do that for the other ones? No, no. Remember, you have one target area, okay? And you described to me that the target area is of these two counties plus some sub areas within the third county. Full disclosure, you know leave the other two alone if they're showing need across the board, and then you never mention it again. And in all your data tables, although you may have a very detailed spreadsheet where it's more detailed, and the sub areas, they all add up to one target area. So when you're talking to the reader, it's just target area after your initial introduction about, hey, this is what my one target area is: two counties, and within a third county, three or four neighborhoods or sub areas, blah, 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 for a total population of this, a total breakdown of this. From this point forward, it will be referred to as one target area in all the charts. Okay. Now, the slicing and dicing, you keep doing on your spreadsheet internally, but you don't share that with the reader.
Right.
They won't want to see that even, but you have it for your proof of where you got your data. Okay. Where can you find track data by zip codes? You want to go ahead, for those of you that are part of our grant writing workshop, you go back and watch that. I think this name sounds familiar. If you attended, go back to the recording session 3 for EOC and session 3 for Talent Search. Talked about how to use the census to get track data by zip codes. Okay. Otherwise, you can go to census.gov and put in they also have videos there to help you. Okay. Sorry, it'll take too long to answer, but that's my best thing to tell you. Okay, someone says they're serving two middle schools. So yes, you want to include them definitely, and you let the reader know also within the first paragraph in your needs section that you are working with four high schools and two middle schools, and then remind the reader again in the objective section, especially if you're high school only, that this does not include, or even in the needs section, please note the persistence rate. Be obvious, does not include middle schools because we don't serve the middle schools. This grant is not serving middle schools. Okay. And that's a good point, Teresa. I'm going to add on to my needs section and to my objectives, which I haven't done yet. I've just drafted. I've got all the other sections done, but I'm waiting to do my needs section and objective section last, even though I have a data collection spreadsheet. So I want to thank you all for these questions because I want to make sure the reader, it's like I'm leading the reader. You ever ask questions, kind of leading the responder to give you the answers you want? I want to lead the reader to think like me, and I don't want them to think at all. I want them to just listen to me, and I'm going to guide them through this. So whenever I feel there's anything that might be questioned, I'm going to tell them basically, this is how it is, and this is why you don't see this, because this is a grant that only serves high school students versus middle school. Okay. That's all the questions we have right now. Um, Anything else you wanted to add, Teresa?
No, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay.
These are good questions.
Really good questions. Thank you all. And we'll be back next week. In the meantime, please look at all our recordings. I'm going to have to probably do a hard stop now because I've got a database training at 1 o'clock and doing SSS APRs all day long, Teresa. We need to talk about some other stuff later, but I'll catch you offline. Here's one more question, I think. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. And again, y'all, don't want to stress you out, but I promised myself I would, I'm trying to get y'all pumped up, excited about this, not anxious, excited about this. Please, please, please promise me that you have taken your 2021 proposal, both EOC and Talent Search, you've taken it apart and you're going through every single section and cleaning it up, taking out trigger words. We've got resources on the Google Drive, and you're also updating your answers, even though the questions might be the same, the tone of the answers should be different. And your biggest headache is the data collection. Okay, that is true. But you want to make sure you have a rough draft of all your sections ready to go when the RFP drops. And then you're going to finalize things and work on the CPPs. But don't even think about the CPPs now, okay? Don't worry about that. Just get the sections up and running and try to complete them as much as you can, okay? Thank you all so much. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Donna and Leah and Mary Alice. I appreciate all of y'all. And we're here to do everything and anything to just share everything that we're going through. We're completely transparent. We're going through the same thing with y'all. So bring on the questions and also look at our video. And for those of you that haven't joined yet, you might want to consider the Talent Search and EOC grant writing proposal courses online. They really, really, I'm not just saying it because we did it. They're pretty darn good. But anyway, I like that they're recorded so you can go back and revisit. When the RFP drops, Teresa, there's a couple of sections we probably might have to re-record depending on the language of the CPPs, and we'll probably do a webinar on that if you're interested in that.
Okay.
But until then, I have nothing new to add to the questions because that's what we're working off of is the 2021 RFP. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much. You have a great week. See you next Monday. Thanks, Teresa.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.